Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rebel Chum channel. Today we're gonna discuss what is up with the hate for Ultrasabers. This is a frequently requested video after I made the recent what's up with the hate for Saberforge video, because I felt like I needed to vent out what's going on and what are the reasons behind the hate. And I think it's all unnecessary in this hobby. It should be one happy family. I mean, we're talking here about lightsaber props from different companies about for our favorite movie forever. So I think it's a really weird thing that we have this kind of hate, and the more I delved into it, the more reason it made. And I'm gonna again delve into that because you can find yourself, there's a substantial amount of truth to what I'm gonna say. So if you agree with it or not, there's quite a bit of factual backstory to it. So first and foremost, a little bit of the history of the hate from Ultrasabers. Now, one of the things that tipped a lot of people off in the old days was that one of the prominent sound font makers, Novastar, I think a lot of people in the community know him, made sound fonts. And what happened was at some point or another, Ultrasabers took those sound fonts and distributed them for free to their customers and just spreaded those sound fonts everywhere over the world. You can find them everywhere, and that led to the fact that Novastar actually missed out on quite a bit of revenue for his property, his intellect property. It was quite bad that Ultrasabers just pirated all his sound fonts and just gave it for free to their customers, which is like a massive breach of trust, and it's just piracy. That's just plain piracy of somebody else's work. And Novastar actually quite severely suffered under that, mentally, physically, and financially. And Ultrasabers never admitted it, and Ultrasabers never did anything with that. And I will delve into that in a separate video because there's quite a bit of elaborate story behind that. And I'm actually in direct contact with Novastar himself, so I feel like this story needs to be out there because this is really classical hardcore businessman a la Ultrasabers and Saberforge. These guys, the owners from Ultrasabers and Saberforge, they're businessmen for most. They look at this, how much money can they bring it up. Maybe with Saberforge they're a little bit more passion for Star Wars and Star Trek in the case of Phil Isherwood, but Emery, that is a pure businessman. So I'm not going to talk about the man himself, well, maybe a little bit, but where does hate come from? So that's one part. That's where it already, it started to rumble with Ultrasabers. That was already within the community. There was a small community of custom saber installers and whatnot. Those guys from maybe 10-ish years ago, they were in the forefront of this hobby. And some of the guys are still there, like Novastar, but they're in the forefront. Those are the OG veterans of this hobby. And basically Emery saw money in this business, so he started Ultrasabers, and he started with the PCV, the plastic piped version of his hilts and whatnot, and from there he built up. And so that was one of the things that led to the hate. Now, there's plenty of other things as well. A lot of people are hating about the quality of Ultrasaber sabers, and I can understand that, because Ultrasabers have a very wide segment of price ranges. So on the very low end, you have a very affordable hilt for around $55 for a grab bag. You get a simple stun setup with a simple battery setup and whatnot. So I think the price range is not bad. It's a little bit outdated by now. I would say 3-4 years ago that was a very good deal. Now there's a lot of competition out there that do a lot more for that price range and even have string-lab blades or soundboard included. Like, it's ridiculous nowadays. The tech is so much cheaper and advanced now that for that price range you can get more. But things like the LED unit not being retained with a retention screw, the battery pack being very brittle, the overall quality wasn't like fantastic, and people had a little bit of expectation, and some people expected not much. They're like, okay, I pay $55, whatever. It's a cheap saber. I can live with it. And there's plenty of people say, wow, I pay $55. What the heck? This is all broken already, or why is it made so crappy? That's a very different mindset. So that's something that you always have. Different people, different needs, etc. But with the higher end tiers of Ultrasabers, that didn't really change that much. Up to date, same with Saberforts, it does not really change that much. The soundboards are still on a very crappy, well, I don't really call it a chassis, it's just a battery holder where the speaker is glued on it. It's just, I wouldn't say it's per se a hair better than what Saberforce does it with the heat shrink soundboard battery combination that is just stuck into the hilt, which is for Ultrasabers the same. One other flip side for that is they offsetting a lot of hilts on a very frequent basis. On a weekly basis, they have to shoot out a lot of these hilts. Especially Ultrasabers is basically a box shover. So what they have is they don't have much customization option, and it's easy for them because they can just poop out these all these different versions, like the black version or the silver version or the black and silver version or the limited edition version, which is not limited edition at all. It's just a silver outlining version, which is of course it's just marketing terms there, but yeah, so these guys at Ultrasabers need to poop out a lot of sabers at a very frequent basis, and that's why you can receive your saber within a week, and not many other saber companies, or none of the other saber companies till today, can actually do that. And that is something I need to credit Ultrasabers for. So if you ever need a lightsaber fast, Ultrasabers, they're fantastically fast, but their electronics are not the best. The hilts, a little bit of a mixed bag, in my personal opinion, and that comes back to the aesthetics of the hilts. The hilts are very washed down, in my opinion. There's not much intrigued designs, but they're very comfortable to hold. They're very fitted for certain purposes. Let's say dueling. All their hilts are made for dueling. Often they're one-piece hilts. They're fantastic. They're sturdy. They have a thick alloy line of material. I should say that the thickness is nice and it's there. It's not a cheaped out hilt itself. For example, the lines, this is in a saber trio, so this is not really, this is just a saber that I have here in front of me, but the lines of the hilt and the milling, it's all smoothed, and in general, they're not too bad. Let me get an actual Ultrasabers, it makes it a little bit more sensible. Oh, I don't have one here. I don't have one here, anyway. So, it is more of a functional hilt than a looker, but that's my personal opinion. A lot of people already said to me they prefer the looks of Ultrasabers, the simplicity, etc. So hey, that's fine with me. And also people say, well, Ultrasabers is cheaper than some of the other offers, like the Vader's Vault or Saberforts. Now, I did some calculation. Often that's not really the case. It's not really that much cheaper, maybe 50 bucks, 100 bucks. But for me, 100 bucks more, spending that more on a Vader's Vault, for example, that is worth to me the extra 100 bucks for quality, etc. But for other people say, that is $100. I'd rather spend $100 less and take a little bit concession with the Ultrasabers than spending $100 extra on a very expensive Vader's Vault. So they have a different mindset. So you have a little bit of that clash. So that's why also where the hate comes from. Like people not always understanding or willing to understand each other's rationale behind their reasoning, why they prefer one or the other. And one of the biggest contributors to the saber hate against Ultrasabers are, for example, the Saberforts custom lightsaber group on Facebook, which is run by Jordan Mall, Shamim, then we have the guy from TSL or the Saber Legion. We have Mr. Snyder, who's the lead designer of Saberforts, and I believe Phil Isherwood. So you have only 5 people managing that group. 5 people only managing that group, and they're all pro Saberforts. And every time you're in that group, you will see a lot of Ultrasabers hate And those 5 people I just mentioned, so you're Jordan Mall, you're Shamim, you're the other 3 guys, including the owner of Saberforce, Phil Isherwood, just let those conversations and topics about Ultrasaber hate linger, and just let them run and run and run, and then have all these guys that love Saberforce jump on it and start bashing onto Ultrasabers, because it's easy, it justify, I have my Saberforce, I love Saberforce, you know, that feeling of camaraderie and friendship, and basically dividing the hobby into big camps of haters fighting each other. And what I really I'm continuing to say that I'm really concerned by the fact that it's the 5 people I just mentioned are very influential in the hobby. They're looking up to by a lot of people in the custom saber industry and the hobby itself. So a lot of people love those names. They love to follow the YouTube channels, etc. But they're in the program of Saberforce. They're being advertising for Saberforce. They're advocating for Saberforce. They're always give the benefits to Saberforce, and it's no doubt that it's a pro Saberforce camp. It's owned by the owner from Saberforce. It has very strong ties to the Saber Legion. It's just everything is so, yeah, it's just so clear that it's so towards Saberforce leaning, and that's the hate is coming from one of those groups, and it's a big group. It's almost 13,000. No, even more. I think almost 20,000. Is it? Yeah, I think around 20,000 members in that group, if I'm not mistaken. Let me quickly look. I don't want to say something bad, but that's just ridiculous how many people are in that group. Let me just look really, because I don't want to say something wrong. Yeah, 25, almost 26,000 users in that group, only led by 5 admins: Shamim, Jordan Mall, and then we have, sorry, I need to check it now. I have the computer next to me, I just need to know it. Here we go. And Thomas Snyder and Terry Rowland from the owner or the CEO of the Saber Legion. So, I mean, that's a lot of monopoly there. And that is not without any afterthought. And I'm not gonna lash out to said people too much individually, but it is very peculiar that those 5 people are the admin and have full control over 25,000 people and what they see. And that's why it's so pro Saberforce. And yes, they add in the description, it's a saber custom saber group for Park Saber, Ultrasabers, Saberforce, etc. No mention of Vader's Fault though. Smartly enough from them. But you can also see it back in the videos. The guys that I just called, they make YouTube videos, right? And I review new sabers or do review sabers. Just look at the amount of Saberforce sabers coming in front there, and the amount of positivity of set brands comes up there. It's just very obvious, and there's some other YouTubers ongoing now as well. They're in the Saberforce camp. They're very pro Saberforce, so it's like an advertisement channel for that brand. So there's a big dispersion there in the Ultrasabers versus Saberforce group. One thing I have to say as well, the Ultrasabers forum itself is also heavily moderated by set moderators, and one of those moderators is also one of the copycats on my channel. I noticed today, no disrespect, well, maybe a little bit. I noticed I made a video yesterday about some blades, about the brightness of the blades, and look who's made another video today as well about blades. Yes, it's a little bit stereotype confirmation in my personal opinion. I don't want to be too racist, but yeah, they copy everything. Some people really copy everything, and especially I'm living here in Hong Kong. I see that happening so many times. It's like, wow, okay, man, good job, original. So anyway, that's something else. But I hope I'm not getting too much backlash. Just for your information, I live in an Asian country. My wife is Asian, my son is half Asian, my family is Asian, so don't hate too much on me. I'm just a dick sometimes, but and all my friends are Asian as well. So hey, if you wanna hate on me, by all do mean, by all do mean. So either way, there's a lot of Ultrasabers hate, and the factors also not helping that Ultrasabers have such a hardcore moderation on their saber forum. So if you have an issue with your Ultrasabers and you just want to reach out to the community in the Ultrasabers environment, see what their feedback is, those topics get shut down like within minutes. Like sometimes I open the topic, say, hey, what's going on with my Ultrasabers? It's all broken and blah blah blah. What is hell? Blah blah blah. And within minutes the admin goes, oh no, you should email our support and we can help you. The forum is not the right place. So massive moderation there. Totally numbed down. Only positive stuff coming up there. On a certain level with the Saberforge forum as well, but not as bad. Like with Saberforge you can actually post videos about an Vader's Volt saber or an Ultrasabers saber. You can do that on your own good if you want to, so you have more freedom there than on the Ultrasabers forum. So that doesn't help Ultrasabers that much either. And one thing that doesn't help either is that Emery is he's doing very well with his business. Ultrasaber is doing very well. He's making big bucks, like serious big money, and yeah, he doesn't shy away to show it off. And that's also a little bit of acquired taste for a lot of people. Like they don't per se want the owner to see him like riding his Ferrari or big watches or his bodybuilding stuff. Like people like, yeah, that's not really the spirit of Star Wars. But that's him. That has nothing to do with me. Like some people hate me because I have weird hair and tattoo on my arm, just looking scrummy. I mean, yeah, everybody has his own way of life, so we cannot bash too much on that guy. So I think that is that's unnecessary hate. But to get back to the point of money, this business is a multi-million-dollar business, and it really is. Like there's a lot of money going in there. Just as I said, look at the pictures from Emery. You can see how much money he's making, that he can buy these expensive cars, bikes and whatnot, have a nice house. Same for the owner for Saberforce, etc. There's a lot of money in there, and that's why the Saberforce group that I just mentioned, owned by those 5 people, having the massive monopoly over 25,000 people, what they see, and that's why, because it's all about money, man. It's all about money, free stuff from Saberforce and whatnot. So there's a big drive from out certain companies to bash to the other companies because it's all about the money in the back end. And you can argue with me, and I hope you do, and maybe you say I'm absolutely wrong, then let me know in the comments, but there is a very strong undertone that goes about the money, and that's why we as an individual are fighting over stupid stuff that are unnecessary. Like, if you like Ultrasabers, you like Ultrasabers. If you like Saberforce, you like Saberforce. So what? I hate plenty of Saberforce sabers, but I also have Saberforce sabers that I like. For example, I like this Gladius. I like it. And then I have people saying, "Oh, you hating on Saberforce the whole time, and you still buy Saberforce sabers." Well, I'm doing YouTube reviews, so that's one of the reasons why I still buy them. And if it's good, like last time with the Juggernaut, I give it praise. I give it praise, Saberforce praise, and it was after I made the Saberforce hate video. So. And I get nothing for it. So sometimes hate, sometimes it's not hate, and it really depends on the product quality that I receive. To me, that's important. So with the whole Ultrasabers debacle, from my personal opinion, if you really would ask me, I would say the lower tiers of Ultrasabers, fine. I take that concession all day long in terms of quality, no problem. They're just beer sabers to me. They're just fit for purpose. Ergonomic, a little bit big, yeah, well, a little bit, they're quite big, and that's also one of the hate points for a lot of people. They say, wow, these sabers are super huge, and rightfully though. I don't know why Ultrasabers keep insisting on making like the Fulcrum, Ashoka Tano sabers, like arm length. What the freak? Why need the lightsaber be that long? Like, are we all six feet tall or 7 feet tall? I don't know how you guys call it in American metrics, but it's like 2 meters. we're not all 2 meters long. I mean, we don't need a hilt of that length and humongous diameter of the hilt. So I personally don't like that, but there's plenty of people that like it. So again, I cannot really knock them for that, because there is a market for that, for those sizes. But for me, it's not there. Yeah, in general, I think the lower tier and the lower pricing tiers are fine for me with Ultrasabers. The higher end, I have some issue with it. I think they have so many customization options, and once you start to customize it to, let's say, a level of a Vader's Volt Saber with your flash on clash, your soundboard with multiple sound fonts and whatnot, that you can buy at the start price of $300 Vader's Volt, that is gonna be quite expensive very fast as you get approaching that same type of configuration with Ultrasabers, and then it's not cheap at all. And then you look at what you actually get. You get a loose LED in a hilt that is not that fantastic looking in my personal opinion, and again, this is my opinion, so it's not fantastic looking. And then you have the soundboard and the battery in like a dodgy way configured. It has a weird battery setup and a shitty small speaker that doesn't have the vocal reach and audio volume that you want, and it's like, I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money on that Ultrasabers. But then I have the freedom to pick any of the other brands out there, so that's a good thing. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Like the higher end stuff from Ultrasabers, I think is too overpriced, but there's plenty of people dropping down 500, 600 US dollar for an Ultrasabers like it's nothing. Like like nothing else in the world exists. Like here, bam, here you go, Ultrasabers, $600 for this obsidian soundboard or diamond controller thing. Way too easy. And I always feel like you should maybe do a little bit research, because I don't know on the long level if you're gonna be as satisfied as you're gonna be on the short run. Because yes, you will have your saber within a week, and yes, it will work fantastic. But how long will you retain that feeling of being satisfied with your product that you bought for $500-600 US? Now, I don't say all Ultrasabers are $600. I don't want to imply that as well, but yeah. It's a lot of money in there, as I said, and there's a lot of saber bashing. So what I did was I created this lightsaber group on Facebook. It's called the Lightsabers Club. That is bash free, because it's managed by myself and a few moderators that are coming from the community. They're from the custom lightsaber community, from all various of backgrounds. So some people are in Saberfort, some people on Ultrasaber, some people in something else, Kyberlight, whatever. Those guys are not associated with any saber company. They're not sabersmiths, so they have no additional nothing in the back end that they might feel like they can benefit from. Because let's be honest, if you there are certain cyber benefits, certain, actually some, I'm not going to call names, but there are certain installers beyond the 5 guys that I mentioned for the custom saber group. They actually get free stuff from Saberforts to endorse Saberforts and promote Saberforts for the custom installation for their sabers. It's not the guys that I said, those custom installers that I mentioned earlier, other known custom installers in the custom saber industry. I'm not going to call their names because they're in general very cool and genuine guys. So I don't want to lash out to them at all. But it happens. It actually happens, guys. It's not a fairy tale. It actually happens, and that's really disappointing, because that's why there's so much hate in this case also for Ultrasabers as there is for Saberforts. Well, I would say it's not really in the same level, but so if you on the clinch of wanting to buy an Ultrasaber saber, go ahead. I mean, be well informed. I would say do your research before you drop down 300 or more US dollar. If it's below 300 US dollar, in most cases, it's a well thought out decision, because I feel up to 300 US dollar, because then you get into the price range of a Vader's Volt, let's say $250 US, 250, 300 US, $300 US, between that. If you get into a saber that you customized on the Ultrasabers website and you're ready to purchase, I would say spend that extra little 10-15 minutes, do some research from other companies what you get for the same amount of money, and if you're still confident that Ultrasabers is the go for you because you like the hilt or you like the soundboard or whatever, if you need it fast, whatever the case is, then of course go ahead. But just think about it, because there's better in the market in certain price segments, period. But that said, if you're happy with your Ultrasabers and you're happy with the decision, so be it. And I really praise you for that, and I will never, never judge you for that. Same with Saberforts, by the way. If you insist on buying sabers, and you just say the issues that I have and I feel are issues, and you don't have that, and you don't think it's on the same level, and we can have a normal conversation about that. Sure, I mean, I'm never gonna say anything about your decision. It's your decision, right? Like, this is my opinion, why the Ultrasabers Hate is so strongly available and present, and that's because those said reasons. I think one thing that Ultrasabers does good, as Emery does do good, is he's very in the background, so you don't see him involved with any of the saber drama. Ultrasabers is steering clear away from that. They're like here, and then you have the involved parties like Vader's Vault, Saberforce. They're involved with the community and involved with some of the saber drama. Some of the owners sometimes jumping in, but Emery not. He's taking it from the back end. He approaches it as a business, and Ultrasabers is just this is an online company from where you buy, and they not get into any of that crap that's going on. So that is something that's good as well, I have to say. Yeah, that's my personal opinion, because that basically relieves a lot of these conflicts, like where Phil Isherwood every time jumps in and start barking. That is not good for the image of Saberforts, and that's where the Saberforts hate also comes from. On the personal level, they actually generally hate Phil Isherwood, where with Emery, most people never really mention Emery that often. Like, they say Ultrasabers is not Emery. With Saberforts is Phil Isherwood, and Saberforts is anonymous. With Ultrasabers is most of the time just Ultrasabers. So that is already different. And hopefully this video was a little bit informative and useful for you. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Please keep it civilized, keep it nice. I will ban or delete your ass if you start using swear words or start to cuss and do all kinds of stupid stuff, because that's not where we aim for on this channel. Plus, beyond that, of course, yeah, no saber hate. We try to avoid that, but I want to give you the opportunity to form your own opinion and spend your money well on whatever you think is best. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna watch Princess Leia. Sadly, she's no longer here. Thanks for watching, and toodles.